Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Persistent Procrastinator. You remember that kid in school? Maybe it was you, who always waited until the absolute last minute to start that massive science fair project. The one who swore they worked best under pressure, even as they were gluing glitter onto a volcano at 3 a.m. the day it was due. Well, that charming habit of perpetual delay, while often framed as a quirky personality trait, can actually be a sneaky little predictor of adult danger. We're not just talking about missing a deadline or two, we're talking about a deeply ingrained pattern of putting off critical tasks. From paying bills to scheduling medical checkups, all because tomorrow feels like a safer, less demanding place than today. In adulthood, this childhood penchant for procrastination can morph into genuinely risky behavior. Financial instability from neglected budgets, preventable health crises from ignored symptoms, or career stagnation because opportunities were perpetually put on the back burner. Your brain, in its infinite desire for immediate gratification, whispers sweet nothings about how much easier it will be later. But later often arrives with interest, both literally and figuratively. So, that kid who always handed in their homework smelling faintly of panic and stale pizza, they might be setting themselves up for a future where deadlines aren't just about grades, but about keeping the lights on or, staying alive. Basically, your inner child who hated homework could be setting your adult self up for a life that feels like one giant, never-ending pop quiz. Number 9. The Compulsive Rule-Breaker. Every playground had one. The kid who scaled the no climbing slide, who ran the wrong way during tag, who treated every do not sign as a personal dare. They were the rebels, the free spirits, the ones who always seemed to be living life on the edge of a scraped knee or a stern talking to. And while a little bit of healthy defiance is part of growing up, a compulsive tendency to break rules, even seemingly trivial ones, can actually be a flashing red light for future adult danger. This isn't about challenging authority for a good cause, it's about a consistent disregard for established boundaries. Whether they're social norms, traffic laws, or professional ethics, in adulthood, this childhood habit can escalate into a disregard for consequences, leading to risky driving, substance abuse, legal troubles, or a general inability to thrive within structured environments. Your brain gets a little hit of dopamine from the thrill of transgression, creating a feedback loop that makes rule-breaking feel exciting and empowering, rather than risky. It's like your internal GPS is permanently set to detour, no matter how clear the main road is. So, that little rebel who always colored outside the lines, they might grow up to find that society has a much harsher set of crayons, and the lines are a lot less forgiving. Basically, their childhood refusal to play by the rules might just lead to an adult life where the game gets significantly less fun. And the penalties are much steeper. Number 8. The Chronic Liar. We all tell a white lie now and then. Oh, that outfit looks great on you. No, I definitely received your email. It's part of the delicate dance of social interaction. But then there's that kid who seemed to live in a perpetual alternate reality, spinning elaborate tales about invisible pets, secret superpowers, or fantastical adventures that suspiciously always involve them being the hero. A childhood habit of chronic, unprovoked lying, especially when it becomes the go-to response for everything from minor mishaps to major transgressions, isn't just about a vivid imagination. It can be an early indicator of a deeper issue that, left unchecked, can lead to serious adult danger. This isn't about playful fibbing, it's about a consistent pattern of dishonesty that erodes trust and disconnects individuals from reality. In adulthood, this can manifest as an inability to maintain healthy relationships, chronic legal issues, or even a complete breakdown of personal responsibility. Your brain, having successfully navigated countless social situations with a well-placed fabrication, starts to see lying as the path of least resistance, a quick fix for any uncomfortable truth. It's like your internal operating system developed a bug where truth and convenient fiction became interchangeable. So, that kid who always had a fantastic, albeit entirely made up, excuse for everything, they might be paving a difficult road for themselves, one where credibility is a foreign concept and genuine connection becomes almost impossible. Basically, their childhood habit of bending the truth could lead to an adult life that's permanently stuck in the "it's complicated" relationship status with reality itself. Number 7. The intense animal abuser. This one is a tough pill to swallow, and it's critical to distinguish between accidental childhood roughhousing with a pet and deliberate, repeated cruelty. But for those rare, Disturbing instances where a child consistently and intentionally inflicts harm upon animals. It's not just kids being kids, it's a deeply concerning red flag that has, unfortunately, been scientifically linked to a higher likelihood of violent behavior in adulthood. We're talking about behaviors like torturing small animals, setting fires, or displaying a profound lack of empathy for living creatures. This isn't about a momentary lapse of judgment. It's about a consistent pattern that speaks to a fundamental disturbance in the development of empathy and a troubling fascination with power and control through inflicting pain. Your brain, for reasons that are still being explored, is failing to develop the typical inhibitory responses to causing suffering and might even be deriving some perverse satisfaction from it. This early manifestation of cruelty can, in the most extreme and tragic cases, escalate to violence against other humans. It's one of the components of what's known as the McDonald Triad, a set of 3 behavioral characteristics: animal cruelty, pyromania, and enuresis beyond a certain age that, while not definitive, have historically been observed in individuals who later commit serious violent crimes. So, while most kids who pull a cat's tail grow up to be perfectly normal adults, the child who deliberately and repeatedly harms animals needs immediate, serious intervention. Their disturbing play could be a grim rehearsal for a much more dangerous future. Number 6. The serial thief. You know the type. The kid who always seemed to have a brand new, unidentifiable toy, or whose pockets were suspiciously full of other kids' marbles, shoplifting candy bars, borrowing classmates' pencils indefinitely, or pocketing small trinkets from a store. While seemingly minor childhood misdeeds, a persistent, unrepentant pattern of theft can signal a far more troubling trajectory into adulthood. This isn't just about a one-off mistake or a desperate act. We're talking about a consistent disregard for property rights and a comfort with taking what isn't theirs, often without apparent remorse or understanding of consequences. In adulthood, this can escalate from petty larceny to more significant financial crimes, habitual shoplifting that leads to legal entanglements, or even a general inability to hold down legitimate employment due to a lack of trustworthiness. Your brain, in its twisted logic, might rationalize these actions as getting away with it, reinforcing the behaviors, the thrill of not getting caught, or the immediate gratification of possessing something desired, outweighs any long-term ethical considerations. It's like your internal moral compass decided to take a permanent vacation, leaving you to navigate the world purely by desire. So, that seemingly harmless kid who always had a knack for acquiring things that didn't belong to them, they might be developing a habit that will lead to a lifetime of legal woes and a reputation for being inherently unreliable. Basically, their childhood sticky fingers could lead to an adult life that's permanently intertwined with police reports and restraining orders. Number 5. The chronic bully. Remember the kid who ruled the playground with an iron fist, whose words were sharper than any stick, and whose favorite pastime was making someone else feel small. The one who reveled in intimidation, name-calling, or even physical aggression, all to assert dominance. While kids will be kids is often a dismissive phrase, a consistent pattern of bullying behavior that persists beyond typical childhood squabbles is a significant flashing neon sign for adult danger. This isn't just about childhood pecking orders, it's about a foundational issue with empathy, a need for control, and a willingness to inflict pain, emotional or physical, on others for personal gain or satisfaction. In adulthood, this childhood tendency can evolve into domestic violence, workplace harassment, antisocial behavior, or even criminal aggression. Your brain, having learned that power and control can be achieved through intimidation, continues to seek out opportunities to exert that dominance. The rewards of bullying, whether it's getting what they want, feeling superior, or simply avoiding their own insecurities, reinforce the behavior. It's like their internal social programming is stuck on dominate or be dominated. So, that playground tyrant who made everyone's life miserable, they might just be practicing for an adult life where their aggressive tendencies cause significant harm to themselves and everyone around them, proving that some childhood behaviors are far more than just a phase. Number 4. The socially isolated loner. You might remember a kid who always sat alone at lunch, never seemed to join in games, and actively avoided group activities. While introversion is a perfectly normal and healthy personality trait, a chronic and unwilling social isolation, particularly when accompanied by difficulty forming attachments or a marked disinterest in peer interaction, can sometimes be a quiet but potent predictor of adult danger. We're not talking about the kid who prefers books to boisterous parties. We're talking about a genuine inability or pervasive reluctance to connect with others, often stemming from anxiety, trauma, or underdeveloped social skills. In adulthood, this can lead to severe loneliness, a lack of social support networks crucial for mental well-being, and an increased vulnerability to mental health crises like depression and anxiety. Without the tempering influence of social interaction, problem-solving skills might remain underdeveloped, and minor setbacks can feel insurmountable. Your brain, having adapted to a world without close social bonds, might struggle to interpret social cues or find healthy ways to cope with stress, leading to maladaptive behaviors. It's like their social operating system never quite got the necessary updates. So, that quiet, withdrawn child who seemed to exist on the fringes, their solitude, if not a conscious choice, might be a precursor to a challenging and potentially dangerous adult life where the world feels like a constantly threatening, solitary journey. Number 3, the uncontrolled temper tantrum thrower. We've all witnessed it. The flailing limbs, the ear-splitting screams, the absolute meltdown over a broken cookie or a toy that wouldn't cooperate. Childhood temper tantrums are, for the most part, a normal and necessary stage of emotional development, but when those tantrums persist long past the toddler years, becoming more frequent, more intense, and leading to destructive or aggressive outbursts in older children, it's not just emotional, it's a significant warning sign for adult danger, particularly concerning issues with impulse control and anger management. We're talking about a child who regularly resorts to physical aggression, property destruction, or extreme verbal abuse when frustrated or denied, struggling immensely to regulate their emotions. In adulthood, this inability to manage powerful emotions can manifest as explosive anger, domestic disputes, road rage, workplace violence, or even criminal acts driven by uncontrollable impulses. Your brain, lacking the developed prefrontal cortex brakes that help with emotional regulation, has learned that extreme outbursts can sometimes get results, reinforcing the pattern. It's like their emotional thermostat is stuck on boiling point with no off switch. So, that child who threw themselves on the floor screaming because they couldn't have another lollipop, they might be setting themselves up for a future where their emotional volatility is not only socially crippling but genuinely dangerous, both to themselves and to others. Number 2, the persistent enuresis beyond normal age. Okay, this one might make you uncomfortable, but stick with me. We're not talking about the occasional bedwetting accident that many young children experience. That's completely normal and resolves itself for most. What we are talking about is persistent, unexplained enuresis bedwetting or daytime wetting that continues well past the age when most children gain bladder control, typically around age 5 to 7. Especially when it's accompanied by other behavioral issues, while sometimes rooted in medical causes. When no physical explanation is found, prolonged enuresis, particularly in conjunction with other difficult behaviors, can be a surprising, if unsettling, piece of a larger puzzle. In certain psychological frameworks, it has been discussed as a potential indicator of severe stress, emotional disturbance, or, in very rare and extreme cases, a component of the McDonald triad, which also includes animal cruelty and pyromania. The idea here isn't that wetting the bed causes danger, but rather that it can be a symptom of deep-seated psychological distress or a lack of emotional control that, combined with other red flags, might point towards a higher risk for future antisocial or violent behavior. Your nervous system, under extreme duress or failing to properly develop certain controls, is essentially malfunctioning in a very public and embarrassing way. So, while most kids grow out of it without a second thought, persistent, unexplained bedwetting can, in rare contexts, be a quiet scream for help, signaling underlying issues that could manifest as far more dangerous behaviors in adulthood. It's basically your bladder throwing a tantrum that your brain can't quite control, and in some rare, unfortunate cases, it's a symptom of a much larger psychological storm brewing. Number 1. The obsessive fire starter. This is perhaps one of the most immediate and terrifying childhood behaviors that can predict serious adult danger. We're not talking about a curious child playing with matches and accidentally starting a small fire. We are talking about a persistent, obsessive fascination with fire, the deliberate setting of fire's pyromania, often without apparent motive other than the thrill of watching things burn, and a chilling disregard for the destructive consequences or the safety of others. This behavior is a massive, undisputed red flag for future antisocial tendencies and, in the most extreme cases, violent criminal behavior. This isn't just a phase, it's a profound psychological disturbance. The act of setting fires provides a perverse sense of power, control, and excitement. Bypassing normal empathy and understanding of consequences, your brain is getting a warped sense of gratification from destruction, overriding any sense of danger or moral restraint. It's one of the most frequently cited components of the infamous McDonald triad, because the link between early, deliberate fire setting and later violent behavior is, unfortunately, disturbingly strong. So, if you ever encounter a child with a persistent, obsessive interest in starting fires, this is not a behavior to be dismissed or taken lightly. It's a potential harbinger of extreme danger, screaming for immediate professional intervention. It's basically a literal burning desire that, if left unchecked, can incinerate a future, both for the individual and for those around them. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.